死ね。覇王丸 VS 騎馬神源十郎。いざ尋常に一本目勝負。
Michael Huber.
Yo.
I had the honor of going down and getting some hands-on time, about a half hour,
Yes.
with Samurai Shodown 2019.
Yes.
Now, I am not a Samurai Shodown guy. I played it in the arcade, and I always really loved the look of it. I always really loved the expressiveness of the characters.
It seemed always like a big boy game to me. I played
Big
it in
boy
the arcade a couple times.
Yeah.
But you know, I was young.
Yeah.
And it was intense.
For me, it was just like as a kid, there weren't that many places I went to where I had access to it in an arcade. In the Midwest, it wasn't a common arcade game.
Definitely.
Like I saw Time Crisis 2 machines all over the place.
Everywhere. Mortal Kombat 2, everywhere.
Sure. Yeah, it just wasn't one of those. But when I did get a chance to get my hands on it, whenever I poked at it, I always really enjoyed it. And I think SNK games, not just their fighting games, but SNK games in general, just have a good vibe to them. And King of Fighters 14, which came out a while ago, was really fun to play, but something that people criticized heavily with King of Fighters 14 is they're just like, oh, we think this could look better. It just doesn't look as graphically awesome as we were hoping for. And something that I really want to say about Samurai Shodown is it has a captivating look, kind of evocative of like the Street Fighter 4 brushstrokes vibe, but it's just extremely strong, saturated colors, and it looks so great in motion. And so that is something that I've been really impressed with.
Gives me that PS or Persona 5 all-out attack aesthetic vibe. That's what I think of.
Sure. What do you mean by the all-out attack?
Just like the way the shadows move during an all-out attack.
Sure.
Just kind of gives me the blood, obviously,
the
spraying.
flurry of motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something that I think has always been true for Samurai Shodown, but it has been reinforced here in Samurai Shodown 2019, is I love when you can look at a fighting game and just feel immediately attached to and excited by characters. And I feel like Samurai Shodown 2019 has that. These characters have so much personality and expressiveness. A good example is a character named Earthquake, who I think... I was like, this is somebody Huber would immediately be drawn to. Just this big, absolutely hulking, extremely obese man that like pats his giant flabby belly and breathes fire and has this giant chain that he whips at people.
Sign me up.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is you look at that cast of characters and it's like, I want to be that character just because they look so awesome. And I think that's great. I think it's good to have that immediate visceral reaction with a fighting game. But Samurai Shodown 2019 is exciting well beyond that. I think a good test for a fighting game is if you can sit down for the first time in a casual setting and just have a good time regardless of your skill level. And that was kind of the vibe that I had going into this hands-on presentation. And there was just this guy, we were just in this small room, and he's like, hey man, let's just do some versus matches. Let's just figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And he was obviously more experienced in the game with me, but because of the way Samurai Shodown 2019 is structured, it was really easy for us to have a good time immediately. And I think the thing that needs to be emphasized with Samurai Shodown 2019 is the damage. Yeah. The damage is insane.
It looked insane,
Yeah, so this is a game that is not reliant on doing lengthy combos or doing anything really, really complex. You can do like 20, 25% of someone's health with just a heavy attack.
It's crazy.
Just one heavy attack.
Yeah, 4 heavy attacks, you win.
Yeah, and it's
crazy.
Right, and it really gives Samurai Shodown such a different feeling, I guess, than other fighting games where I feel like in other fighting games, there's this more constant back and forth. Like, okay, you pressure me, I pressure you. Oh, you did something stupid, I punish. Whereas here, there was this sense of fear.
Yeah.
Because what would happen, even just me and this demo attendant, what would happen is like, I would get a strong attack in, and we would just have that reaction, would be like, oh my God, my health!
Yeah.
Or he would get a fierce attack in, and suddenly we'd be playing differently because we had lost so much life.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love this idea of feeling like you really are these warriors who are so powerful where even just a single strike can do so much damage and have such an impact on the match.
It has me really excited. The fact that you, like, it's so dangerous all the time. And the fact that you don't have to really worry about combos, it's just this cat and mouse game of like, am I going to press here? Am I going to wait and kind of lure you in to maybe a counterattack?
Right.
I really like what I'm seeing from Samurai Shodown.
Right.
Because obviously there's going to be a high room for skill here. But as someone who doesn't invest a ton of time to fighting games generally, this feels like at any time I can pick this up and have a chance.
Right. And that is really the thing that, yes, I think it'll be great for beginning players to understand. But what's also really cool is because everything is just so damaging, mind games happen so immediately and evolve so quickly where, like, once you get that taste of blood, like once you land that heavy attack, it's easy to want to be greedy.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, I'm going to get another heavy attack in. But then your opponent can pick up on that. It's like, oh, they just keep going for these giant hits that have these long startup animations, and I'm going to punish that. And then you're like, okay, well, they keep punishing that. I need to have a new strategy. And there's just this nice back and forth that is very easy to understand, but is super complex, which is cool. And yeah, all of the characters feel radically different. I really liked Nakaruru, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She has this hawk.
Yeah.
And she's kind of this quick character, but she has this hawk, and it can just be the most annoying thing in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Because she can just send the hawk diving at you, just attacking you. But she can also do really fun things, like more evasive things, where she jumps up the hawk and it can move her quickly to the right or left.
Does every character's heavy attack do 25% damage?
I can't say. Like I didn't have the luxury of like methodically going through and testing every heavy attack, but the general sense, without a doubt, is whoever I was playing, landing a heavy attack, yes, you were getting that much damage.
Because it seems like speed then would be the name of the game here. If you have a fast character and they're still doing tons of damage.
Yeah, it was balanced in such a way where the bigger character, so like Earthquake, I'm playing as Earthquake, extremely slow, just lumbering. Because his attacks were slower, he was doing even more damage.
Okay.
So that was the thing.
Land 2 heavy attacks, you win.
Right. Kind of that sensation. So it's not like, oh, fast characters are automatically better in every sense. There is that sort of balance, absolutely. But I loved this environment for checking out Samurai Shodown. Like I said, it was about a half-hour game. I wasn't going into a training mode and figuring everything out, but just kind of getting a sense of what it felt like for somebody picking up for the first time that didn't have the luxury of going through everything and just kind of learning with a friend. It felt very natural in that way. And we had this great moment. So there's this mechanic where you can kind of activate this rage mode, and you can spend that meter to do this attack to dash across the screen. And the character goes gray against this red background, and it's like that classic samurai cut, like the final blow, and you just do a tremendous amount of damage. It was very easy to activate and do. The consequence is that if you cash in on that attack, you can't use your super meter for the rest of the match.
Nice.
But playing into the kind of the mind games mentality of Samurai Shodown and the things I was talking about before, we would have those moments where I caught him off guard with that dash ultimate attack a couple of times, and then what he would do is he was like, okay, I know you're going to do it, because if you activate, you're invincible. And so we had this incredible moment where I activated it, I dashed at him, he was able to react quickly enough to activate his, and I went through it, he punished me. And it was like, okay, the inputs that we were doing here were not complicated at all, but still we were rewarded, he was rewarded for thinking about it and countering and gaining that invulnerability. And yeah, I had a fantastic time with it. You can also clash with an opponent, and you'll have to mash the button, and whoever wins disarms the other opponent.
That's fun.
And that's really great too, because in this game, characters have these weapons, they have these tools. You also have a lot of reach, and that's something to think about as well, where a lot of the characters I was playing, I would say most of the characters I was playing, could attack from an incredible range. So not only when you get hit are you losing a bunch of life, but you can get hit from a great distance away. And so losing your weapon is like, oh my God, I need that. That is crippling me. If they have all this range and I don't, that puts me at an immediate disadvantage. And so it's kind of this awesome panic-inducing moment where it's like, okay, my weapon is over there. I need to go get it, but I can't go get it in such a way that is so reckless that I take a bunch of extra damage.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a really cool mechanic.
yeah, it is a
love
really
that.
cool mechanic. So you're really excited by the lack of combos and having
Yeah.
every hit feel meaningful. Is there anything about Samurai Shodown that you have any other questions or anything that you're worried about or excited about?
Worried that it is too simple. That's always a worry. If it's too simple, and every match kind of starts feeling the same of like, okay, I'm just kind of waiting for my spot and to poke them and maybe use a special here and there.
Yeah.
So that is definitely concerning. But that's really my only concern. Like I keep kind of comparing it to Killer Instinct. Similar situation. This old fighting game franchise returning. Killer Instinct from the outside kind of looked like it didn't last that long. Like there was a lot of hype and build before it came out. I know people are still playing it, but
Yeah, well, the thing about Killer Instinct is really interesting because I'm not a Killer Instinct guy, but just kind of seeing the community respond to it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of excitement because it was an early Xbox One game, but they did an incredible job of supporting it and expanding upon it and adding new characters. And so it really did endear itself to a very dedicated following. And it just felt like the monetization, the way that they monetized that game was smart and really appreciated by a lot of players. And so the people that were into Killer Instinct really loved it.
yeah, I could see Samurai Shodown being a very similar thing where it's just, gets supported for a while and there's just a super dedicated fan base and it's really awesome. And
I think what goes a long way is not only is it fun to play, but is it exciting to watch? That is really, really important. And it all comes back to down to the damage.
Yeah.
Because
you're never
like
out.
I said,
You're always in it.
you're always in it. That's the thing. And matches can end so quickly. And it was really neither myself nor this guy were expert players by any means, like relative scrubs. But the matches still felt exciting, and I was just thinking, like, man, I would love to. And this is going to be at Evo. I was like, I can't wait to watch. Not only is it pretty easy to discern, but it's immediately exciting. Like every hit matters, and I think that's the thing. You were worried about it being too simple, and despite it not being like crazy, elaborate, flashy combos. When you have damage that is that high, that means every mistake is just brutal. You make 2 or 3 mistakes, and sorry, you lost the round. And so to me, that actually makes it even more demanding and even more exciting. And so I think it balances out that simplicity in a really good way, where it's like, yes, you can understand this, but don't be careless or you will die in seconds. Which is really cool.
I will die in seconds. I am very careless.
But you will die in seconds until you reach the point where you're killing in seconds.
Yes.
So.
And samurais are always awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I really thought it had a good showing. With a fighting game, it's frustrating because it's a genre that you need the initial impressions sometimes are very different than later impressions, and you need to see how the meta evolves over time, how you feel about it over time. I think it's very easy for a fighting game to have an early impression. But with all that said, I had a really good time with Samurai Shodown, despite not being this diehard Samurai Shodown guy, not being that familiar with the series. I thought it was really exciting, and I hope it's appealing to people who both are like me and who have been following it for a long time and are super excited for this game.
Always a feel-good moment when a franchise comes back to life.
Yes, and it seems like this is going to come back strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you so much, Michael Huber, for talking some Sam Show.
Yep.
ダメよ。ここやそこや捕まえた。もう
勝負あり勝者指揮
早すぎるわ。